Industry Insider is only available at Promo Corner, the leader in digital marketing for the promotional products industry. Each Monday, they discuss, dissect, and debate a single issue impacting the world of promotional marketing from every industry perspective. Now, it's time for Promo Corner's Industry Insider.
Welcome to another edition of the Industry Insider, your promotional products podcast where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know about. My name is Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Headwear USA, and I'm joined today by three other lovely folks. But before we get to them, this fine broadcast that you're about to tune into, or that you are tuning into, I should say, is brought to you by TechWeld. Our good friends over at TechWeld, USA made in a world filled with worry regarding overseas products. They've got many USA made products to help separate themselves from the promotional products pack. They've got hand sanitizer SKUs. Look, the Delta variant's out there. Coronavirus is still a thing, believe it or not. And ultimately, hand sanitizers do help combat the spread. And the CDC recommends sanitizing and washing hands to help prevent the spread of the disease. And they have many sanitizer SKUs that help combat the spread of the virus. If you haven't noticed, things have picked up in the promo world a bit. There's been some news come out in the industry recently about some benchmarking and some different sales numbers. So really excited about what's coming, but ultimately TechWeld has some really great kit items. Kits are still big. People are still working from home. And so they've got this kit initiative. And so initially they've got 8 different stock packaging for their kits. They've got an EVA bag, a PVC tent pouch, PVC tube, the organza bag, pillow pouch. They've got a BTL 202, which is a 30-ounce tumbler, and also the retro lunch boxes. Not many players in the industry are focusing too heavily on kits, which really allows them to hone in on the market and market these products and expand upon their already vast kit line. So go check those out at techweld.com. That's TEKWELD.com. You won't be sorry that you did. Why don't we say hi to Stephen McFadden first, because Meg's got a story for us that we're gonna save up for, build up some suspense for. Stephen,
I've got nothing. I'm doing well, man. I've got nothing as exciting, but I'm on the edge of my seat.
Fair enough. Meg Erber, how are you?
Yeah. Come on.
All right. All right, guys. So I'm good. I have a little bit of a story what happened yesterday to me, and this hybrid environment is tough because we're trying to do it all, right? Don't text and drive. Don't do it. So you guys understand like white noise. You hear it all the time. You start to drown it out. When I was in the Navy, I was down in the aft IC, and we had 400 hertz going constantly. And if you don't know what that is, it's like constant. So when it goes off, you're just like, what's different? So I'm going to show you guys. So right back here is a bridge. It's a drawbridge. So coming over that drawbridge, and I, at the corner of my eye, I see like the yellow flashing, but it was like corner of my eye. And I go like maybe 20 more yards, and I was like, oh, I should stop. I should stop. But mind you, I hear this siren all the time, 20 times a day when I'm here. So when I heard it, it was just like white noise. So then I'm like, all right, there's no one behind me. I'm going to put it in reverse. So I go to reverse, and then the toll booth guy gets out and he's screaming, go, like with so much like enthusiasm. I panic, right? I panic.
Also something that you drowned out because you're used to hearing people in the background go, no, go, Meg, go, Meg, right? Like, you're just used to hearing people cheer you on. So I can imagine how that could have just been.
Did you jump it? Did you jump the bridge?
Did you jump the drawbridge?
Hold on. So then I drop it into drive. I'm like full panic mode, and I hit the gas, like floor it.
You dropped it into drive. What the hell were you in before?
But I was in reverse. I was in reverse. So
okay.
My car I have a big truck. It's not necessarily like the Fast and Furious type. So when I went to drive from reverse, it didn't do anything. It like just sat there for like a second, and I was like, oh my God, did I put it in neutral? So now I'm really panicking. This guy's still screaming, go. So I and then I finally just went. I committed to flooring it. By then, the red light is flashing and the sirens are going, and I'm like, and he's like, go. So I go. I went 90 miles over that bridge, and as I look in the rear view, it was coming up. So meaning it wasn't coming up like I was going to go off of it. It was coming up. So I would have gone down. So I'm shaking just thinking about it. I laughed about it all night. It was pretty funny because that happened to me. I'm alive, I'm here, but yes. So if your sales rep says, hey, I'm on the road today, can you email me? Just email them. It's so much easier. That's all. That's my story.
Wonderful. Well, we're glad you're still alive. Can you go back to the drawbridge and get an interview from the man that was yelling at you? Because I want
Yeah, please. We'll hold.
Yeah.
Like, I wish he just would have like minded his own business, because I was already going in reverse. I was already safe. I was well past where that drawbridge would have come up. Go! Oh my God, fine.
All right. Well, that's incredible story. So glad we got to hear it. Thank you for sharing that for the show, or saving it for the show. But we're joined today by a very special guest. It was actually our first time special guest on the show ever. He was our first guest, right, Danny?
Yeah, proud to be here again.
Yes,
in the
finally
biggest
back.
ways. Yeah, you guys have just really done an amazing job bringing, I don't know, up-to-date news, a lot of, I'll say, discussion points. I think you brought up some things that have made the whole industry think a little bit differently about the issues we're all dealing with, whether they're right or wrong. It feels like the debates and that you guys have on this podcast or this live broadcast it's always welcomed, and I think the industry is grateful to have you. So thanks, and thanks for having me.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Thank you. Nobody else wants to say thank you?
I said appreciate it. It was just under muddled. I emailed him. I didn't want him to crash.
Well,
Hey, Danny, that's a really cool logo / sticker / patch you have on your shirt there. What's that all about?
Yeah, promo cares, baby. Something Meg and I are deeply involved in. Can I throw it to you, Meg? I mean, you've done so much work on this first event that we're bringing to life in the industry around mental health. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, well, I don't want to take away from the podcast itself, but we've making a really big push through the Promo Cares board. We decided to partner with NAMI and fight head on mental illness and the stigma around it. So we sent out some kits to a few of our friends, and inside those kits is some marketing pieces, and there's a journal, there's a coffee mug, there's some amazing smelling coffee, there's some t-shirts, there's pajama pants. And then this week we actually have the box, which was really cool, because what most people don't know is that sustainability is one of the 5 pillars for Promo Cares. And, when you're setting out these kits, is that sustainable? What's going to happen to it? Well, this box is made out of recycled materials, and not only can you reuse it, if you don't want to reuse it, it is 100% recyclable. So keep an eye out over the next several weeks. There's going to be a ton of marketing, a ton of fun posts, and we're excited about this. And Promo Cares patch and that box was this week. So if you have the patch and you have the sticker, show us where you're going to stick yours for sure.
Yeah, and I think the key important element here is that this event will allow you to basically invest either in yourself or have your organization invest in you. So you get time to sleep in the fall. There'll be a day that we have selected. It's daylight savings time. And that money goes straight to NAMI that focuses on mental health issues. And it's such a cool idea, because rest is important, recharging, being productive, not working god awful hours. Now that we're working at home, it feels like we're working 24/7. So how do we separate that and get back to, healthy work, I'll say habits. So join us. It's going to be fun.
Awesome. Well, yeah, not talking about that this week as far as the topic goes. I know we talked about that last week with Dave Schultz. So if you missed last week's episode, go check that out for everything Sleep In for Good. But wanted to mention it since I saw the awesome week 1 item on your chest there, Danny. So thank you for that. But we are here to talk to you today about a venture that Danny and his team are doing over there called BandTogether, if you haven't heard of it. But first of all, Danny, just in case people didn't hear the first time you were on the show, we do like to give our guests a good 3 to 4 minute introduction of themselves, who you are, what you've been doing in the industry, how you got started in the industry, that sort of thing. So why don't you take the floor?
Yeah, got into the industry. I think it goes back to getting in trouble when I was in junior high and high school. Had a lot of demerits, got in trouble, had to do community service. I found my way enjoying community service, so got involved in organizations like Operation Smile, and I could go on and on about some really neat things that I got exposed to when I was a kid. that allowed me to work my way into an out-of-state college at UNC Chapel Hill, in which my parents said, if you want to go to an out-of-state school, you pay the delta on, that's a bad word to use, the difference on the cost. And I really thought long and hard about it, and I decided to go to UNC, and decided I would figure out a way to make up that income. And I did by selling t-shirts door to door when I was on campus. Every Duke Sucks iteration of a shirt you can think of, they're in the college archives now, digital museums. It's really cool to look back on that. My favorite shirt was the top 25 things you need to do before you graduate from Carolina. And it was all these things like drink from a blue cup, and skip class, and going on down, go get student nosebleed seats in the Dean Dome. And at the very end, it said go to class. But made good money, paid part of my way through school, befriended a screen printing group in town in Chapel Hill, long-haired sort of flower child type of guy who owned it, and learned a lot about culture and making and creativity. And after about 8 years there, decided to start the BrandFuel with my business partner and also longtime friend, Robert Fivash. And so we've been at it together for almost 24 years, and we've been friends for almost 40. And that partnership has been just, I don't know, the greatest gift of my life outside of the family, and BandTogether, which we'll talk about. And we've learned a lot from each other, and continue to surge forward in the industry to do it differently than any organization has before. And we also agreed that something that was important to BrandFuel and to us was to serve. And what that showed up as in this industry is serving on the PPAI board. Robert has done the same. He ran Promo Kitchen. We both were founders of that. Running and starting Promo Cares with Roger Burnett and the team that's there now. Involved in Reciprocity Road, starting that with great organizations, 10 companies that are committed to brand good, doing good with their brands, and focusing on great suppliers like the two that are on this podcast right now, and driving business there, but also giving a percentage of rebate back to our sales teams and our staff. So really, this whole thing around giving, which I think is a pretty big part of the topic today, it's embedded in what BrandFuel does, but also what I'm trying to do in my life, trying to leave this place a little better than I found it. And it's everything I do is with others. So I'm a co-founder, I'm a co-president, and I like to give a lot of credit to the people around me that have been a big part of helping build the things that I've been able to be a part of leading. So proud of that. There you go.
That's awesome. Thank you for the intro. And yeah, I mean, Danny, you're one of the best people in the industry for sure. Everything that you've done, I think you've already definitely made the industry much, much better than it was prior to you for sure. So thank you for everything that you do for us and for the industry. So we are here to talk about BandTogether, and this is a really cool event that I really knew nothing about until Meg had mentioned it as a topic to bring up. So I'm glad she did, because this is a really cool event, and I'm actually looking forward to doing it at some point down the road. So before we really go into too much of detail, why don't you just give us a brief synopsis of what BandTogether is and sort of how it all got started?
Yeah, BandTogether has become known as the largest concert of its kind in the Southeast, and possibly the world, the universe, ongoing concert, I will say. But it's much more than that. The concert's used, obviously, to raise money for causes in the community. When it started, we're hitting our 20th year stride here. It was started 9/11, reaction to trying to help those families who had victims of 9/11, mostly firefighters and policemen and women who died. We were trying to take care of their families in some way. And the idea was initially, that fateful question of what can we do? We're in Raleigh, and there's a lot going on in New York City. And our response was, initially a friend said, why don't we have a wine tasting? We'll invite our friends along, charge $100 a head. And my response was, we didn't have that many friends, so we probably couldn't, raise that much money. Even $5,000 wouldn't be a big difference for people. And so the idea I had was to create a concert and bring the community together during this difficult time, and allow firefighters and policemen and women to come to this event, this concert, to tell their story, to come for free, to enjoy the community that they had supported in so many ways. And we brought firefighters down from New York City, and we called it BandTogether for our heroes. the words band together have a lot of meaning. Obviously bands, we have bands at the show, but banding together as a community, and then banding together with other nonprofits. So from there, we have since started to invest in not raising money for organizations. We raise money with organizations. So this idea around partnership philanthropy or open philanthropy is a part of the model. That's something I'm really proud of, because when you raise money for an organization, you can do a really good job. But when you're raising money with an organization, that adage that is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And in our case, band together. That's allowed us to take our mission to super large heights, to $1 million fundraising efforts. So we choose a different cause in the community every year through a rigorous vetting process, and we do that partnership thing for an entire year, and then we basically party our asses off with live music and beer and dancing in the aisles and building community and telling our stories and celebrating the nonprofit works that happen out there. We say we're a mullet, we're business in front and party in back. So the equivalent of a mullet, I think, is kind of interesting. I'm trying to rock mine a little bit. I haven't had a haircut in a while, but getting ready for October 23rd, when we have a lot of folks coming in from the industry to celebrate what we're doing this year, which is instead of a one-to-one model where we raise money for one cause, we're raising money for 100 different nonprofit organizations this year. They're all focused on doing one or multiple things in these three categories. Cradle to career is one, healthy families is another, and then the last one is equity and leadership. And so these nonprofits have been selected. We're going to raise $2 million this year. We're a little more than a third of the way there on the fundraise, which is great. So we're heading in the right direction. But each of those nonprofits will receive $20,000, and we'll have great music from Krungbin, try and spell that, Big Daddy Kane, and then Lee Fields and the Expressions, kind of a James Brown, Al Green kind of setup. And it's just going to be so much fun. And I hope we get a chance to talk about all the people flying in to take part in it as well.
So you mentioned that, go ahead, Meg.
No. So, okay, real quick. So every year I somehow always find out about it like right after it ends. And I'm so mad. And I'm like, I missed it again. I think last year I thought you were like rescheduling something for September. There was something going on in September. And so I like signed up for it right away. I was like, I'm not going to miss it this year. Yeah. And it was just like you had like a band that couldn't play and they were playing again and later on or something like that. Anyway, I'm invited this year. I'm going. I'm so excited. So excited. That's all I wanted to say.
Glad you're here and coming. No doubt.
Yes.
It's going to be more of a party with you there. I just no doubt in my mind.
Hey, Danny, so how do you guys go about raising the funds together with those groups? Is it through ticket sales, or is it still a free event, or is it through just various initiatives?
Yeah, it's a good question, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, we should put on a concert and raise a lot of money for a cause. It is so much work, Stephen. The model, the music industry, I'm not gonna say it's broken, but bands need to get paid. And so especially when we have like supporting acts that are local that we really want to, put on a massive stage like at Red Hat Amphitheater, 7,000 people sing, a small local band that we love. So the model, as far as the concert goes, we would like to do better than break even, pay the bands. We have fundraising things that happen during the event, live paintings that we auction off. We have silent auction. We've got some celebrity activities that happen, text to give. We have t-shirt printing on site typically. So using promotional products for sure there. But we're looking at probably this year, because it's going to be a sellout. I think there's 100 tickets left out of the 7,000 or so. But the idea is that, we make a bit of money off of that, but the real money comes from fundraising. And what's important there, if you know anything about corporate fundraising, nonprofit fundraising, is that most nonprofits are getting their money from government, foundations, grants, churches, sometimes individuals. There's a lot of work that happens in event fundraising, and that's a lot of work for them. So, that's a piece of the pie. The last sliver of the pie for nonprofits is corporate markets. And the thing that's interesting to me is that BandTogether is the converse of that. So if you had a Venn diagram and you did an overlap, the majority of our funding is coming from corporations. And so companies today are really looking for opportunities for cause marketing, to put a halo over their brand in some way, to engage employees and their families, to maybe engage their customers and thank them and bring them to an event like we have. So there's this marketing component that's pretty cool. And so I always say when philanthropy, marketing, music, and family come together, I'm in my happiest zone. But the money really does come from companies that are committed to nurturing their backyard. The whole B Corporation movement is a part of this, taking care of community and taking care of employees and recognizing them. And of course, there are volunteer opportunities as well. And those that are flying in, the promo mofos, to come enjoy that concert, they're also going to be working that day to help set up and get the event space prepared for 7,000 people.
That was a bad time to take a drink.
It's all bad. I timed it.
Really,
Sorry.
really,
And you're welcome.
really good timing. So yeah, I was going to ask because I know you mentioned that you're a third of the way there with the fundraising and all that, and I think Stephen, you sort of alluded to that question as far as like how do you go about increasing or raising the rest of those funds, and you'd mentioned promo and product sales and stuff like that while you're there, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because as a business owner, I have relationships with a lot of companies and decision makers, in particular in marketing. And so the question that you have to ask yourself, I think, when you're in that role where you have relationships with your customers and maybe you're also doing something on the nonprofit side, is it okay to engage them, outside of your business? And will that strain relationships or strengthen them? And you walk sort of a fine line. But my whole point is like, there's 200,000 people living in poverty right now and struggling with food insecurity in our area. I mean, I think the number now is a little bit over 2,000 people are homeless in our area, and there's need and there's an opportunity for organizations to actually do something about that. Mm-hmm. And again, employee engagement, corporate halo, you're looking at ways where you can do cause marketing on site, marketing at the event, and use those tickets to distribute them to staff or customers. And all those things really matter. And so I'm able to leverage those relationships and versus strain them and make those hard asks. And I didn't mention this, but I am leading the $2 million charge this year. So there's a lot. I'm having some sleepless nights right now, frankly, because it's not just about the money. It's about those people in need. And I'm confident we're going to get there, but we've got a very short runway. I mean, 2.5 months to raise $1.5 million.
Wow. Well, I'm sure you guys will get there because it's a great cause. Like there's a lot of notoriety behind the event. Meg, you actually had a really interesting story that I'd like you to share with us as well. But again, BandTogetherNC.org. Comeback Fest is October 23rd, 2021 at the Red Hat Amphitheater in Raleigh. But Meg, you were saying you were talking to some friends that were down in that area or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they immediately asked you what you were like. They knew what you were doing.
Yeah. So I was at the shore last weekend with my best friend who's from Lancaster. Okay. And her cousins were from Raleigh and they were in Marmora. Okay. I don't know if you know where that is, but Marmora is down at the Jersey Shore. We get there and we were just talking. I was like, oh, where are you guys from? They're like Raleigh. I was like, oh, I'm going to be down there a couple times this year. My daughter's going to college, like about an hour south of there. And I'll actually be there in October. And they were like, why? You coming here for BandTogether? And I was like, actually I am. And it was so cool. Like we've been wanting to go. And I was like, I know somebody, I'll get you in. Like I really,
that's great.
But
free tickets for all of Meg's friends.
Tell them how to get the ticket.
Meg, I'm gonna send
really
you an email.
cool.
I need a ticket.
I know. I don't have any. I don't have
a guy.
it. Just putting it out there.
That's great. I love the small world stories. There's so many good stories that we have at BandTogether. I mean, I could go on and on, but I will say that they're my favorite stories of BandTogether, and I could get choked up talking about them. I'm gonna try not to, but I like to often leave the crowd that I'm with and the run around, the crazy. I'm out of the day to day now since I started it. Now I'm more immersed in fundraising and some of the strategy and the marketing and stuff that happens leading up to it, so I can party with all you guys. But I like to peel away and stand in the audience and just watch the stage and the people really enjoying themselves. But I was standing next to a gentleman who didn't look like me, and he was by himself, and we were watching kids on stage from an organization we supported called Kids Notes. and he was crying, and man, I get choked up now. He was crying, and I said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "That's my son up there on stage, and he's playing violin." This is before the main band came on stage, and and he said, "I'm just really proud of my kid." And I said, "Yeah, that's amazing." I said, "How did you hear about what we're doing?" He said, "My son, he's always wanted to play basketball, and I told him there are other ways to grow and take a different path in this life. And fortunately, he found Kids Notes, this amazing organization that teaches kids how to use string instruments and provides them with instructions at no cost and gives them the instruments. And these kids, all of a sudden, their grades start to improve. And he was telling me the story, the thing that I was selling all this time, that I had a moment with him in the crowd. And those are the moments for me that just make it all worthwhile.
Wow. I don't even know where to go from that. That's an incredible story.
I could tell you more stories, but I'll start crying. I'm kind of I don't know. I'm emotional about it because it's 20 years, man. It's a lot of people's lives that have been affected positively. And, and I think the best part of all this is that as much need as there is in the community, fun is this core value that we have. And, live music brings people together. It builds community. It's a common language. And if you go to the show to see the band and you don't know anything about BandTogether, maybe we convert you to a volunteer if we do our job. And if you go to the show just to support the cause that matters to you, maybe we convert you to a music fan, and you're turned on by, maybe a local band that gets to see some of the benefit of that, and you going to see them again or buying their t-shirts, right? So.
Well, in an effort not to make it serious again, I do have a question for the future of BandTogether. Where do you see it going? Like, have you guys given a 5-year, 10-year plan to this thing since it keeps growing? And any thoughts on that?
Yeah, this is one, like, I could give you all the different things that we could do. BandTogether, when I stepped away after year 13, I never stepped away, but I stepped out of the boardroom to, it's called capacity building, helped create a pathway for us to invest in staff. When I was leading it, we were raising about $500,000. Now we're quadrupling that because we have staff, and we're leveraging partnerships. So this idea of collaboration versus competition. So we have Thorne and Hannah are 2 staff members, and they're just so dynamic and committed, and they love music, and they care about community, and they're just good people. So the board now is leading the charge on the strategic plan, but I will say there is an opportunity for us to have a BandTogether tour and do this same thing in multiple communities. Send Krungbin and Lee Fields and the Expression, Big Daddy Kane on a 5-city tour and raise $10 million for a specific cause. We're partnering with United Way of Wake County, but United Way is all around the country. So that partnership could actually become the trigger to not only having a larger footprint in terms of giving in communities, but also allowing us to get more national sponsors, more national recognition, and really seizing the day when we have a big, issue in our world, whether it's something that's weather related or COVID related, where we could be very well positioned for massive growth, Stephen. But one thing that I will tell you is, and anybody who's serving on a board, and I hope everybody listening, watching is doing some sort of investment in their community through nonprofits, that bigger isn't always better. And this is something that I thought was the truth. And, my first 10 years, we can do more. Do we have capacity? Can we raise more money? Can we help more people? Can we put on more bands, more shows, more concerts, more volunteers, sell more tickets? And I think that was okay in the beginning, but at some point in time, I realized that we were straining relationships, or volunteers were burning out. We weren't doing as good a job nurturing sponsor relationships. And so what I say now is that bigger isn't better, better is better. And so for the last 20 years, we've tried to make it better. And every year, I think it does get better. And so that now we're poised to be able to take it to, a grander level, whether that's, bigger in the national scope or otherwise. But that is something that's on the radar.
Honestly, 30 minutes into the podcast and dropping the biggest nugget I've heard in quite a while.
Yeah. Better is better.
Better is better. That's so simple, but so true. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Danny,
Well, I
real quick.
do want to.
Oh, go ahead. You have a question? Go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff.
No. Mine's going to go down a little bit more serious path. So go ahead.
Okay. So, I'm all right. Then I'll just be real quick. You guys raised $2 million before for the Step Up Ministry, and prior to that, I think the biggest one was maybe like 852,000, which still is an incredible. Are you? And then it was like 1 million, 1.3. You're still hitting the $1 million mark. What's different from that? Or are you guys trying to go off the same, game plan? What made that one so special where you were able to get to that $2 million?
So we're not at the $2 million yet. That's this year. Or you're talking about Step Up. Step
Yeah.
Up. So our success, and this is really interesting, I think, for anyone, I was just talking about, collaboration versus competition. I think if you're looking at growing your business or a nonprofit or whatever it may be, I think this idea of like collaboration is super, super important. It's been a big part of like every organization I'm involved in. The idea there with Step Up was that they were going to really go hardcore into their fundraising efforts. They had certain goals, and they were also invested in what we'll call social innovation and social entrepreneurialism, where they were creating more impact through innovation in the nonprofit sector. So they had some really big ideas. And when you have big ideas and you've got an organization that's doing a lot of work and you've got multiple organizations and people invested in fundraising for that, you can create some FOMO around, trying to be a part of what they're doing. And I think that was it. The messaging was great. The marketing was great. We had a larger footprint with that organization. They happen to have more people on their board who are active fundraisers. A lot of boards are not active fundraising boards. And we work with them, coach them. We basically try and help them find, help them be the very best they can be through this, 1 year partnership experience. And it happened then. So this year's a little bit different though, because we've got the resources of the United Way. And so I'm even more confident in the 100 nonprofits that we've selected to be recipients of the funds. They're also doing work. So you've got, 102 organizations at it. So there's hope.
Awesome. I did want to ask, just because, and we talked about this a little bit on the phone last week, Danny, but I feel like because of where we still are with COVID and things not being completely, we'll call it back, right?
Yep.
Concerts and live sporting events and things like that are starting to come back and get there and things like that. So I think this is an amazing thing, and it's a really big feat, I think, to put on something that's live right now in October as well. So how are you guys approaching this from like the coronavirus standpoint, and what are you guys doing to, take measures or precautions and things like that? Like I know you're going to be following like state guidelines and things, but I think it's a really big task and something that, is probably, worth discussing at least.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, because I think this is, serving in the PPAI boardroom for 4 years, I can tell you that they're struggling with the same thing. What's going to happen at Expo? What if? And so you're creating, basically, as an organization, we're creating like the what if scenarios. And as a board, whether it's PPAI or BandTogether, trying to figure out, what do we do when and if? So let's create the planning in advance. Don't wait. If this happens, then we do that, and the board's already approved it. And so what the strategy is, so staff and volunteers can approach it that way. In a nutshell, if for some reason we can't have this sold out show, and we'll have to figure out what to do in Raleigh. There'll be a lot of things for people who decide to still come anyway. Some great things to do here, but we will postpone the show. We will have the show in April, and we'll have to refund tickets for those who want their money back. Last year we didn't, or 2 years ago we didn't have COVID, but St. Paul from St. Paul and the Broken Bones, the headliner, he had laryngitis the day of the show. So the band played anyway, and they were amazing. But they agreed to play again in a second date. So we honored those tickets. And out of the 6,000 tickets or so that were sold, there may be 150 people who asked for their money back. So I'm just going to use a term that Denise Taschereau uses occasionally. It's called the elasticity of forgiveness. And I think there's a lot of power in that in the nonprofit world, where I think sponsors and people who bought tickets, I hope they'll be forgiving and understand, and they won't, take the money back for these causes that actually still need it. Because the difference that BandTogether delivers with what we do versus another nonprofit is that you're not just writing a check to a cause, you're getting this concert experience, and this marketing experience and this volunteer engagement experience and all of that. So we hope that the elasticity of forgiveness is in play if that happens, but it's not going to. We're all going to get healthy. Nobody else is going to die. I'm an optimist, so we're going to get through this. It's good. The show will go on.
Awesome. All right. Do you guys have any other questions for Danny about BandTogether or anything else to contribute?
Looking forward to it.
I'm kind of bummed I'm not going, to be honest with you. Like I've looked it up and seen pictures of like past years and stuff, and it's like, man, I'm kind of like getting the FOMO like Meg has had in the past.
Yeah, it is something that everyone's invited. I sent out this mass blind copy thing of people that have just collected through the years that they're probably the mullets, the people who care and they love live music, and so. Everyone's invited, and I do my best to be a host during a time which is, it's always like a wedding weekend for me. So I'm stretched thin, but everybody being here together and having a good time it means a lot to me. And so I want to say thanks to those that are making the trip. Thanks to there's sponsors that we have that have been just so generous in our industry, and I won't name them, but there's so many that you are like, just we haven't been able to do what we do without you. We raise a lot of money because we're using that product to help with fundraising, to thank people, to appreciate and recognize folks, and then also we sell some of this stuff at retail rates like t-shirts, and we raise a lot of money for people that you'll never meet probably, and will be sparked by hope and love and care, and just because you're a generous organization, and just tying it all, wrapping it up in a bow with Promo Cares. It's what we're all about, trying to uplift this industry by doing good, and so keep that up. It helps our industry in a lot of ways, how people see our industry, and the power of our medium can be used for good, and standing for something, maybe speaking out on a product. There's value in that messaging, and just it just gives me it's such great joy to be able to merge this industry that we're in, this great industry, with this great vehicle for fundraising and helping others.
That's pretty incredible. And I think Mandy Rudd says it best. Let's be honest. Danny Rosin, the perpetual giver of goodness.
Oh gosh, back at Mandy, man, touche to you. Talk about a giver, and I just think the entire Promo Cares board.
Perpetual.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good group of folks. Thanks, Mandy. But right back to you. I mean, all the stuff you guys do in Kansas City. Wow. But I also like the fact that what they're doing in Kansas City is like we're learning from each other. They're sharing and we're sharing. We're trying to get better at what we do. So the Big Slick is very similar to BandTogether in a lot of ways, and we've learned so much from them. So this, again, partnership, philanthropy, caring, sharing, not protecting. We got to do more of that. We'll be a better world.
I was going to bring that up earlier in the podcast, but I was like, maybe I shouldn't bring it up because I don't want anybody to compare the two or think that I'm comparing the two, because they are two different events. But I'm very familiar with Big Slick over conversations I've had with Mandy in the past. So I see this as in a way being kind of a similar situation where you're giving back for an absolutely great cause. So yeah.
Yeah, real quick on that. I think the thing that I love most about what they do, other than the work we're going to Children's Mercy Hospital and being on site with these kids and making their day, having these famous people come in, putting a smile on their faces, that's probably the best part. But I think the second best part in regard to our medium, if you're looking for a good way to fundraise, the Big Slick always goes out. I think the organization is called Charlie Hustle in Kansas City, famous screen printer. I think they have a designer on staff who creates a design that's that goes out into the marketplace where they sell 1,000 t-shirts at $100 each. And they sell out every year, and that money from that t-shirt sale goes into the fundraising for Children's Mercy Hospital. You do the math on that. It's $100,000. Take out some costs that goes right to the cause using a t-shirt. with a cool design. And I guarantee you, and I've bought these shirts before, when I wear that shirt, people ask me about it. I can tell a story. I can connect with people. I'm proud. And I think that's the power of our medium, right there. So great job, Big Slick, Mandy, Dave, all you guys, keep that up.
Absolutely. All right. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. We probably want to skip the rapid fire this week, right?
Yeah, it's gone too long today.
Yeah, absolutely. Meg's on vacation. She's ready to go back to the drawbridge and see if she can actually jump it this time, guys. I don't know.
The other way. Go the other way, so
way.
you can jump the gap this time.
Do it
Be like, yeah,
blindfolded.
let's do it. Let's go.
Wear
You just
your
have to
Prepare's
watch-
eye mask.
Look, you just have to watch some Fast and Furious movies and maybe The Italian Job before you do it to just, get yourself psyched up. But then,
Yeah.
just go
And
for
next
it.
time he yells go, just look out the window, stare at him, and rev the engine.
Yeah.
You know what you're about to do.
You
Well,
ready?
guys, if you enjoyed this podcast, it was brought to you by TechWeld USA, made in a world filled with worry. Regarding overseas products, they offer many USA-made products to help separate themselves from the promotional products pack, and they've got a lot of FDA-compliant products as well. In a time of uncertainty, knowledge that a product is FDA-compliant is key in allowing a customer to feel at ease when placing an order. And they also love to create custom packaging. So at TechWeld, they've got this create new sort of incentive, and they create new every day. With their custom packaging division. And it's a great example of that. Each box takes on a life of its own, and they can work to meet your custom packaging specifications as well. So go be sure to check them out at techweld.com. That's TEKWELD.com for more information. And guys, really appreciate the time. Excuse me, the time today, Danny. It was awesome having you on again. Really proud of you and everything you're doing with BandTogether and everything you're doing in our industry as a whole, man. Really appreciate you and glad to be able to call you a friend.
Yeah, right back to all you guys. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week. Take care.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Promo Corner's Industry Insider. For more great content from industry thought leaders, including podcasts, blogs, and videos, visit promocorner.com.